Okay, in this episode, we are going to be discussing the topic of ARM CPUs, desktop computers. Is the 2024 the year of ARM on the desktops and related topics? And while I'm pretending to do the introduction, he's trying to do the preparation for the episode because, various reasons, because it's funny, of course. And right now he was checking the information about ASML and some other related topics. Okay, with that being said, let's roll the intro. This is the new episode of That IT Show podcast. Roll the intro and let's start. Okay, so what did you learn in the past 15 seconds? 15,
I was trying
not
to
50.
Yes, I was trying to relearn some of the things because I was basically when I decided that this is going to be my proposal for an episode. The thing that I was thinking about was completely different. I was trying to compare ARM architecture, and this is a big point, architecture itself, against what is right now called x86.
Okay.
Or x64.
x86 64, okay.
Yes, or however it is called.
Okay.
Against whatever right now is the rest of the market, because I don't know if the rest of the market even exists.
RISC-V, but yeah, no, not really.
And I was trying to find out, is there any available data on the market share of the architectures, not the companies themselves? Because what the market share trackers, being it Gartner or whatever, are doing is they are tracking companies. So they're tracking AMD versus Intel versus ARM, which is completely nonsensical. AMD, Intel, and ARM are producing completely different things. For the first thing, ARM isn't producing anything. They are outsourcing everything. They're just an architecture company. So they're creating architectures. Yeah. They are creating architectures. Intel is partly creating their own architectures, partly buying stuff from other people, especially in the last couple of weeks. And AMD also is, they're basically the full stack. So they have their own foundries, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
It's a completely separate company.
Yes, but they are able to produce their own processors.
So is Intel.
Yes. Okay, so is Intel, but we are going to talk about this in a little bit.
I know. I'm just sliding it in nicely for you.
So basically, my first notion was that we are going to be talking about how ARM architecture is going to go into the desktop. Because what I see right now is that ARM is probably going to win over the older architectures. And by winning, I mean having the most RISC ARM-based units in the different devices. Having said that, a few things came into perspective. First, ARM is probably right now the winner of the architecture war. Because all the mobile phones, all the Apples, basically all
tablets,
all other devices other than desktop PCs based on Intel are based on ARM. So we are probably
and laptops based on Intel.
Yes, but the processors based on Intel make a small portion of the processors that are being created right now.
Okay.
And all the GPSs of the world, all the TVs of the world, all the different devices are more or less based on ARM technology as is.
Okay.
So there is billions of devices that are out there that are ARM-based. My concern right now is I want to talk about the desktop.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about the user-facing interfaces that the people are used to.
Okay.
If you are using your TV, you are not expressly thinking about, okay, now I'm using ARM. You don't care.
Yeah.
You just want your TV remote to work. You are not expecting your keyboard to work. You want your remote to work.
I do.
I have news for you. I bought a new LG TV a couple of weeks ago, and it has a separate channel called Work from Home. You can directly connect to virtual PC, you can directly connect to remote desktop, and you can directly connect to a few other things.
I like this product.
You can connect mouse and keyboard directly to the TV, and then you can work on the 4K 55-inch TV.
I like that a lot, although I wouldn't use LG for OS reasons. I much prefer Android TVs. And I'm not the only one.
WebOS has its own merits.
Yeah. So does Tizen, but nobody wants to buy those.
I'm going to go with. I bought it because it was cheap.
I know. This is what he's using as a monitor right now.
Yes, I'm using this as one of the monitors because when it comes to comparing prices of the technology, and this is my since this is the Christmas time, and I was comparing a lot of prices of a lot of different technologies. The price comparisons of different things that you are able to buy today is completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to buy a smart mouse,
Mm-hmm.
let's say a high-end mouse that is going to be, I don't know, a Logitech or any gaming mouse, you are going to be wasting probably upwards from 120 to 150 euros for the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
I got my TV that is 55-inch TV for 350 euros.
Mm-hmm.
So more or less for the price of, I would say, 2.5 mices, you get a completely functional TV, which works.
Mm-hmm.
And this is insane.
Okay. I like
But-
that a lot.
Yes, but that's
Are you getting closer to your idea of what somebody called the NASA Command Center at home?
right
You know what I'm
now.
talking about.
No, what I'm right now pushing for is to have the number of screen to be greater than the number of rooms I have.
I like it a lot. I have it already. Yeah.
Yes, you
Exactly
have it
that.
already because you have a smaller flat.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. But I think that I'm already over it if you take into account the laptops. But leaving aside this huge tangent that we started with,
No, it's not.
let's go
It's
back.
still ARM based.
Let's go back to the ARM. Windows on ARM is coming.
Yeah.
It is inevitable that it's going to be on the market. They're going to call it Windows 12 probably, because Windows 11 on ARM is going to be much worse than Windows 12. As I said jokingly yesterday, maybe they will call it Windows AI or
Copilot.
or Cortana Windows or
Cortana is done.
Yes, Cortana is done. Unfortunately,
Fortunately.
no. I like the idea of each company having their own pet.
Mm-hmm.
So Google having Bard, Microsoft having Cortana,
Back
Apple
to ARM.
having
Let's
Siri.
go back to ARM.
So basically, they want to dehumanize the Windows once again, and I'm expecting either Windows 12 or some amazing stupid name like I don't know, Windows Double Vista or something.
Can I interject for a
Yes.
second? We already have a very good system that runs desktop OS on ARM CPU. It's called Apple.
Yes, and I think that this is going to be one of the things that is going to push Windows.
Okay, why?
More and more people are coming to grips that what used to be a problem, and the problem was that you couldn't use macOS in any normal conceivable way because it was so different than Windows, is slowly becoming a thing of the past. Most of the applications that are able to run right now are able to run on both on Apple and Windows. And the price difference between the Apple products and the equivalent Windows products is shrinking. It is not shrinking in the Europe as much as in US, but it is shrinking. The amount of money I paid for this particular laptop.
€0.
Okay, but the amount of money I paid for this particular laptop, let's imagine that I paid for it. And the amount of money I would have paid for a similar laptop based on Intel, probably a ThinkPad, is shockingly small. This one was under €1,000. An equivalent ThinkPad would probably be €1,700. So 70% more than this laptop. And this laptop is right now is better. And this is one of those things where
Why is it better?
Longer battery life, much quicker. The only thing that I care about is the time it takes for the laptop to come to its senses, so I can actually work on it.
Yeah, I wanted you to outright state that.
And because I
It's
look,
you do understand that that's completely arbitrary.
yes,
Okay.
yes. But this is a tool.
It is.
I want my tool to be available as quickly as possible. So I want the quickness of the iPad on a PC that can be used.
Okay, hibernate the PC and that's that.
Yes, but try to do it. Try do it on Windows, and you are going to be seeing considerable lag when it comes to hibernating. And I can charge this one every week or so. It has 16 hours of work time in the battery, so I usually charge it over the weekend or something when I remember to do it, and it's available in the entirety of the week, and I don't need to wait for anything. And this is one of those things that I liked about ARM. Now let's talk about the future, because the right now what we have is Intel being confused. You are the Intel fan guy, so
Oh, really?
you are much more fond of Intel than I am.
Okay.
Maybe it's because the Pat Gelsinger was working for VMware before, and we both know that he was the.
Yeah, right. That's the reason.
But we both know that he is an actually good CEO,
Yeah.
and it's amazing that he created some decisions that apparently don't make any sense right now, like completely dismissing ARM as an architecture.
That's what
and
CEOs
then
do.
buying parts of the architecture from another provider, calling them tiles, and then creating what is best called a puzzle CPU,
Like AMD.
like AMD. But this is the first time that Intel did this.
Yeah, but they did it for different reasons, not for those.
Yes, okay, but it is starting to get confusing.
Okay.
Also, Meteor Lake.
Mhm.
Are we completely sure how this architecture actually looks like? Everybody's talking about Meteor Lake, but I'm not completely sure if the architecture itself is completely on the market. So, are the Meteor Lake processes that we're seeing right now being tested the process that we are going to see? Are they going to change the architecture mid-cycle?
I don't know. I don't care.
I do care because this is
The only thing that annoys the hell out of me is the product naming scheme. Everything else looks rather fine to me. I know there are quite a few reviews already out. A lot of people are, giving positive, let's say, thoughts about it. It's a completely new, it's a vast redesign of what Intel used to do.
Yes.
The next generation is going to be even greater redesign, and then we are probably talking about like near memory type of design of the CPU as well. So something akin to M1, M2, and 3. So I don't know. Meteor Lake seems very reasonable, and a lot of people are saying that it delivers on both the, let's say, functionality standpoint and performance and power efficiency, which has been the bottleneck for a lot of Intel CPUs for quite a few years now. So I don't know. Maybe you know something that I don't. It's always possible.
It's not that I know. It's just as a guy who was following the CPUs for a long time, as you are, Meteor Lake is the first time that I see that the CPU is broken into so many distinct pieces.
It has AI engine as well.
Yes, it has AI engine. It has multiple different cores. It has different cores, but it's not that. It's that just that the chip itself. If you take a look at it,
yeah, I know.
it looks broken. It looks like it was created out of
multiple parts.
Multiple parts, because it was
Okay.
Due to them trying to keep the cost down, and due to complexity reasons.
Are you insinuating that this CPU reminds you of Pentium D?
Pentium Pro. Pentium Pro.
Why Pro?
The one that had the cache separated from the die with this the processor, because they were trying to lower the cost because they had problem in the process. Yes. Yes.
Okay, I don't get that feeling, but again, maybe I'm off.
The thing is that since right now we are moving into P course, E course, LPE course, we are talking about AI course, and this is starting to suspiciously look like we are moving into ARM territory. Because AI cores are going to be risk-based. They are
Okay.
not going to be CISC.
Okay.
There is no need to create an enormous amount of instructions for different cores. Or it is not. It doesn't make sense to create same instructions for different cores. So they are going to create cores that are going to be different. So what Intel is creating is a multiprocessor computer inside your processor.
P cores, E cores, LP cores.
LPE cores, does yes.
Okay.
And then you are going to have XE cores.
Yeah, we like that even more.
So this is the consistency of the naming. Okay, I have a
That's-
problem with this.
Me too, but let's not get into that.
Then trying to name it Core Ultra or
There he
Core.
goes into it.
No. But the consistency of naming has. I know why they did it.
Okay.
Because calling it i7 would mean that the processor itself is homogeneous.
Okay.
And we are talking about the processor that has 4 types of cores. So they needed to create another name for it. Because I think this is a multi-CPU system disguised as a single chip.
I think that their primary intent was to copy-paste Apple, but yeah, I understand where you're going with that. Because Ultra sounds so much better than i7.
Yes, but i7 would be the misnomer. So what they would say, probably say i7 multicore or i7 because they are dropping hyperthreading also.
Yeah, I know. I heard that as well.
So suddenly you're going to have an i7 without hyperthreading and with hyperthreading,
Which would be even cooler.
yes. So and the only thing that they could have done is to create additional prefixes or postfixes. So imagine i7-h-
Please, no,
MP
please, no.
MC-12.
Hammer.
But we have also seen those. So they had the numbers.
Yeah.
So we have seen the name, and then the naming structure change. What I want to talk is, are we going to see more ARM-based applications? Because the thing that I'm bothered with is not the architecture. It is going to change. Architecture change all the time. How much time do you think it will take developers to switch over to be able to use all those cores?
2 generations.
Because right now on M1, it has been, what, 2 years?
Roughly. Maybe a
Roughly.
little bit more. Yeah.
Roughly. Right now, I think it's something like 17% of the applications are able to run on the ARM itself.
Yeah, but PC ecosystem is much bigger.
Yes, PC ecosystem is much bigger, but when it comes to user application, it's not that it's so much bigger.
It is.
When it comes to specialized application, it is. But you could also say that there are also specialized applications on the Mac system that are given, for example, for in the video industry and audio industry. This is the standard, not the PC. So the applications themselves are going to be ported over. I think the specialized applications are not a good case, because if you want, for example, I don't know, name one application designed for video rendering, DaVinci. What they first did is they created a version that is able to run on ARM, because they have to do it. They know that the person who is going to be using the M1, M2, and M3 is going to be dependent on the power of the ARM that it has in the Apple that it has. So DaVinci needs to run as quickly as possible, and this is one of those things. So specialized applications are going to be upgraded first. Applications like Office are going to be a problem, because Office is running in the compatibility mode right now.
And it's doing so very well.
I wouldn't call it very well.
I would.
Okay, let's disagree on this.
Okay.
Because what I can show you is if I okay, Chrome is now open for me here. Unfortunately, I don't have it plug it in. But right now my Chrome is closed. I'm going to open Chrome. Let's wait for it. And now it's open.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say I want my Safari. It's open.
Mm-hmm.
This is the difference between the ARM-based application and Intel-based application.
Okay.
So roughly three times the speed, load speed.
Okay.
And this is something that needs to be addressed
Okay.
because 300% is a big difference.
I don't think that this is the part of the IT history in which we are going to have the story of multi-core CPUs.
Okay.
Because if that was to happen, that would be incredibly stupid, wasteful, and it would alienate a lot, basically the whole market. So I don't think that that's going to happen. For those of you who don't understand the metaphor, we are still running mostly single-threaded applications even to this day, especially on the desktop side. But even server applications, they don't necessarily scale well with more cores, for example. So I don't necessarily see this as a problem because of the market size, the developers do have a huge incentive to actually make these applications available as soon as possible by using native architectures. There's a lot of competition at the end of the day, especially because of the AI and some other things that are getting built into applications. So if developers are too slow, then the market is going to eat them from that perspective too. I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying because I really don't care if ChatGPT tells me something in Microsoft Word, be it on Intel or on ARM's CPU. I just don't care.
I would guess that I do care because from my perspective, running Word on okay, so running Word on
Your laptop?
My laptop. Let me open a new document or whatever. Is something that I want to be as quick as possible. Because the main reason that I'm buying a laptop like this, so lowish end that laptop, is probably to be able to run Word, able to run PowerPoint, able to run Excel, web browsing, and that's it.
A bit of multimedia, and that's that.
I'm not going to use the Apple Writer. I'm going to use Word. And the thing is that I want my applications to run as quickly as possible. So I think there are some applications that need to be done in a certain way, and they need to follow the speed of the desktop.
Do you think that that's actually a problem that's going to end up hurting Windows on ARM?
No, I think that the problem that is going to hurt Windows on ARM is going to be the drivers.
Okay, we can already see that in Mac world.
Yes, because what Mac has and Windows doesn't is that Mac is much more coherent when it comes to drivers because they have the usage base or the hardware base that they are based on is much smaller than the PC.
Yeah, but you cannot extend it with almost any of the hardware devices on any of the Apple models.
Yes.
And that's a problem.
Yes, this is one thing, and when
I mean, drivers are the problem.
Yes, and when it comes to Windows, the way the kernel of the Windows is created is designed right now. Porting all those devices into ARM is going to become a problem.
Okay,
and it's going to become a huge problem. So this is one of those problems that need to be solved before we see desktops that work.
And again, Microsoft has years and years of experience of developing Windows for ARM. This is not their first release.
Yes, but even after years and years and years of experience, graphics cards don't work.
Okay, that's up to NVIDIA.
Printing
AMD.
system doesn't work.
Yeah.
Networking sometimes breaks down.
Just like on Apple.
Okay, that's true. But having years of experience doesn't...
I mean, I'm not defending them, just saying.
No, it's the speed of the development is such that they cannot simply just move around. They need to stop, rethink, and redo the drivers now.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes?
Try to put yourself in the shoes of your younger self and think about, for example, a situation in which Microsoft developed Windows for ARM, let's say 12, and let's say that Windows 12 on ARM works on this machine,
Okay.
or some, comparable machine like that.
Okay.
Would your younger self want to use that and compare that, if there is a comparison to be made, to a situation in which you start using Windows 12 on ARM next year?
That's just a non-question. I'm using Windows 11. So I'm just the guy who's going to run whatever operating system is able to boot.
So you would basically, let's say, have a Project Volterra based, let's say, laptop.
Yes, right now, yes.
And Windows on top of it, and everything is fine.
I would try that, yes, in a blink of an eye.
Okay. How do you think that would end up?
From what I heard of the guys who were running Project Volterra, it would work because they were able to create entire development machines, because this was the idea of the Project Volterra. And the idea was that they are running it for the last 2 or 3 years,
yeah.
2 or 3 years, at least 2 or 3 years. And this is the thing that is that was the idea. I think this is the
Bridge between x86 and ARM?
not only the bridge. I think this is the groundwork that Microsoft created in order to be able to create the ARM infrastructure, so that they can move on when the ARM infrastructure comes.
I mean, Visual Studio has been has supported compiling for ARM for years.
Yes, but so they have a Project Volterra. What they didn't do is they didn't make it widely available. And I don't know the reason for this. I would guess that they are still waiting for Intel to decide, because they have some sort of a deal with Intel, probably.
There are rumors about deals with Qualcomm and others as well.
Yes, but they have a deal with Qualcomm because Qualcomm is the one who is doing the Project Volterra itself. So I think that there is a lot of politics going on. But from the standpoint of the operating systems, yes, I would use Project Volterra.
There's another thing that you need to take into account. I mean, NVIDIA has a decade of experience of working with ARM architectures, even more, maybe even more. So absolutely nothing new from the good old days of Tegra chips.
Yes, and they announced the entire. They're announcing right now the CPU based on ARM.
Yeah, and AMD is doing exactly the same as well.
Yes. I'm saying that this is going to boil down to how well Windows and how well devices that are legacy devices of Windows are going to work with the ARM.
Okay, they're not going to be able to work with ARM.
Okay, you have an Apple UAD audio card.
Okay.
Do you really want to switch to Windows and make an investment that is going to make your much larger investment in the universal audio?
Of course not. I'm going to keep on using it on my MacBooks because it works on all of them.
Yes, this is one of those things.
Okay.
And now we are talking about enterprise hardware. So imagine not being able to print on the network printer because your computer doesn't support network printing.
Okay.
Or imagine your computer not being able to run some sort of application inside the company because it doesn't support whatever. The only thing that is, and I must say that this is a big thing, that is interesting, is that ARM did a hell of a job in the cross-compiling and cross-running of the x86 commands. So they are able to run it on the chip with difficulty, but it is comparably quicker than one would expect. So
That's the reason why I said that it's not such a problem. On Apple specifically.
On Apple specifically, yes. I think this is going to happen on Intel. But what I hate about Windows is that Windows somehow always is able to shoot its own foot by creating a problem with the drivers.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
And this is a fun one.
Yes.
I think you're going to want to make an episode out of this. Don't you think that it's kind of history repeating itself, and we might end up in a situation of the early 90s when we had the whole OS2 meets Windows era?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I don't see a big competitor to Windows right now. OS2 was IBM, and IBM was huge. Linux is here to stay. I don't think it's going to become a desktop operating system that is going to be running the ARM simply because it won't. macOS is pretty much established as an operating system. So you don't have the first, you don't have the operating system that is going to be a big competitor. And the other thing is that if you remember way back then, we also had different architectures. We had Cyrix,
Many more.
we had VIA, we had AMD. They were pushing for their own versions of architectures. After all, the 64-bit architecture that we have right now is the AMD's architecture that Intel begrudgingly had to accept.
Okay.
Because they had to. They were late to the market.
Yeah,
And
they were.
they had to accept the new architecture because the architecture was there and it was working. So
I was actually being even stupider troll than that. Don't you think that Windows ARM versus Windows Intel will create that situation? That's what I was asking, which is completely insane, but still.
I think Windows ARM versus Windows Intel is going to come down to how much money is going to exchange hands. Because
Okay.
Intel has a big chest, and they are able to pay their way into compatibility with Windows and into Microsoft not dumping things. We have seen that Intel has made errors in the past, like Itanium. Itanium,
For me, it was not a mistake, but okay.
it was
Technologically speaking.
technologically speaking, it wasn't a mistake, but from any other standpoint,
Ecosystem, it was crap.
it was the problem was that they made a deal with HP,
yeah.
that basically meant that they had to keep on innovating in the technology that was not viable as a commercial success. And Intel is going to make those kinds of deals because they need to make those kinds of deals. And I wouldn't I wouldn't just put the politics out of all of this. So I would say that ARM versus Intel is going to be partly politics, partly actual technology.
Okay.
But do you think that, taking all of this into account, that ARM is going to take over, let's say, more than 25% of the market of the desktop in the
In which time span?
next year?
No. No freaking chance.
Because I have seen, we were looking at the numbers. The I would say normal analysts think that ARM is going to take over 25% in the year 2027.
Yeah, that's 3 years down the line. I think that's generous. Still don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be a much slower slope.
Okay, but what happens if, for example, Apple suddenly decides that they're going to switch over all the iPads to macOS?
Okay.
Then the market share of the ARM on the desktop market,
all of a sudden is much
all of a sudden is much bigger.
inflated in a non necessarily natural way. But yes, I understand.
Yes, but they have this thing in the
In
sleeve
the pipeline, yeah.
because they want to have this thing in the sleeve. Because
course.
if they miss for some reason or the other on the market, what they can do is to fool the shareholders. Just say, okay, now you can buy for the low price of $14.99, you can buy a decently sized keyboard, and then your iPad is going to be your next Mac.
It's not. Having said that, I know also that you tried and many other people, and for a lot of people that just doesn't work. You know that, so I don't feel the urge to explain that to you. But the idea is still sound. I understand where you're going with this. I'm not disagreeing with you on the basis of idea. I just tried it and it just doesn't work for me. That being said, if they kind of integrated both of these OSs and found a way to finally produce some kind of an interface which makes sense in terms of touch with the laptop, that might lead to something. I don't know. Difficult to look into the crystal ball future because, I mean, Modbooks, if you know about them, so those that company that basically kind of like takes the guts out of the existing Apple old ones and then makes them into like touchscreen based ones. They've been doing this for years and they fell apart a couple of times and whatnot. That type of use case is still something that to me makes a hell of a lot of sense. So imagine this with the touchscreen. I still think that makes sense. Which would be like a use case hardware integration of these two devices.
But I have been using the small laptops, ThinkPads mostly, that have the touchscreen for the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years. And I don't think that this is such a big of a case as you think it is.
But we are not necessarily the intended use case for that. A lot of people really like this.
Okay, but once you have a laptop, you tend to like the idea of your laptop basically being a stand for your screen, and then having a large mouse pad or touchpad, however you call it, makes much more sense than trying to scroll on the screen.
Yet still people do it.
Yes, this is completely incomprehensible to me. But on the other hand,
You do it as well. I've seen you do it.
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes, rarely, but sometimes. The thing is that my problem with what is happening right now is that for the first time in the last,
30 years.
no, I would say 10 to 15 years,
Okay.
I have absolutely no idea what is going to come next.
That's good.
Because we were used to, I don't know, you had Windows 7, then you got Windows 8, then you got Windows 8.1, then you got Windows 10, then you got Windows 11. So the Windows were just ticking and talking away. Even and odd versions were behaving differently. One was crap, one was working. You got used to this. Tick and talk on Intel meant architecture first, then improvements, then architecture, then improvements, and so on. Right now, you don't have that kind of reliability in predicting the future, stability in the future. There is a disturbance in the force.
Disturbance in, yeah.
Yes, and right now, I honestly don't have an idea what is going to happen next.
Yeah, me neither. I agree with you.
And I want to hear your point.
About what? What's going to happen?
Yes.
I don't see Windows going away in the next 3 to 5 years in terms of Intel-based x86, AMD, Intel, whatever ecosystem. That's not going to happen. I do see ARM taking a significant chunk of the market for mobile, specifically for mobile computing, because they're so much more efficient. It's just not even a story.
I think that they already took the chunk of the market.
If you count this, because there are basically no other devices that you can compare.
Okay, but all the mobile phones.
No, I'm talking specifically about laptops.
Okay.
Specifically laptops. That's what we're discussing, not these devices. In terms of everything else, that's a much bigger, let's say, topic to discuss, because in server space, the things are changing much more quickly. There are a lot of hyperscalers that have already bought a boatload of ARM-based environments. Because they have like incredible amount of cores and whatnot for a variety of different products. Huawei has a whole stack of servers for that, for example, and some other companies. So that's actually changing significantly, but it's a part of a larger story. Actually, it's a part of the story of transition to newer technology with some of the different bosses fighting for let's say, victor in the market, CCI-X versus PCI Express, whatnot. But generally speaking, a lot of people do consider that PCI Express is here to stay. Everything else is going to go away and whatnot. Not entirely sure about that. That's a topic for another day. I know this because I'm dealing with high-performance computing environments as a part of my PhD study, so I see the shift there already happening heavily. My initial impression of ARM-based architectures on desktop basically is limited to this device. If you want to consider this device, that okay, and Raspberry Pi, because everything else that I've used from the ARM world is hyperscaler type of technology, high performance computing based environments. I don't have a problem imagining ARM CPU being something used as a something. Yeah, I know, Ampere. Yeah, I know.
No, but I'm talking about this particular case. What I'm showing, Vedran, is there is ASRock's motherboard.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it a couple of months ago. It was released. We talked about it in one of the episodes.
Yes, but right now it's bundled with the CPU for 1,500 euros. And this is something that can actually be a desktop.
Yeah, I know.
Because
but which OS are you going to run in it? That's the question. Because there's only one, only one option, and you don't want that. That was my point.
You might want that.
No, you don't.
But for a particular usage case.
Yeah, but that's not the desktop use case, if you ask me. No, that's exactly what I was getting into. So if you were to use a Raspberry Pi as a metaphor for what I'm talking about, that being a smallish desktop platform. The only viable OS for that is Linux, nothing else. Using that, if you're using the Raspberry Pi version of Linux, I don't know, it's not all that good. If you use the vanilla, let's say Ubuntu or something for the Raspberry Pi, which you could do, again, not a very it's not an excellent use case. Some things have changed over the past couple of years and have gotten better, but still, Linux on the desktop, as such, as we are going to discuss in one of the future episodes, and we've discussed this in many of previous ones. Yeah, it's just not a topic for me. Windows needs to get there, and then we can have the discussion. But still, for the next 3 to 5 years, I don't see that happening on the desktop.
Raspberry Pi is, I think this is a completely wrong case because right
I
now,
know, but it's the only metaphor that we
yes,
have readily available.
Raspberry Pi has a identity crisis right now.
Oh, I know.
Because Raspberry Pi is something that is, it was intended for a different thing. It was intended to be a fully functional cheap computer.
Yeah.
For $35. Let's remember this.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was to have a fully functional computer for $35. Right now, a fully functional Raspberry Pi with the case, with the power supply, with the
10
memory and
times as
everything else,
much.
it's going to be 10 times as much.
Yeah.
The lowish end Raspberry Pis, without anything, without the memory, without the storage, without everything, the lowest specs is going to be something like $70. You need at least the power supply. You're going to need a micro SD card.
A case.
Okay, let's run it without the case because we are trying to save money.
Okay.
And you are suddenly running into the realm of low-end, small case PCs based on Atom or the slowest Intel processors available right now. And this is the problem that the Raspberry Pi has.
Yeah.
It was intended to be a small, cheap, available computer, and it's not it's small. It's no longer cheap, and it's no longer available. Mm-hmm. That's the second problem. Mm-hmm. Because you were trying to buy it for your PhD and had a hell of a problem.
Still can't get them.
Yes, because if you want to have...
Actually, the prices dropped heavily after they introduced the new generation.
Yes, but is the availability
No, they are unobtainium. Completely unobtainium.
So basically,
but eBay for CM4, yeah.
So basically, in the Excel, your price has dropped, but you still cannot get the...
Yeah, unobtainium for the new ones. The old ones actually started popping up on eBay for at 50% less than what they were a couple of months ago, which is still way too expensive, but yeah.
And this is one of those things that I want to mention is that I am not counting Raspberry Pi as a desktop.
I know. Again, it was a metaphor.
Yeah, okay, but I'm not counting this as desktop.
Okay.
Also, being able to connect keyboard and the mouse to your mobile phone, that's not a desktop.
Yeah, agreed.
You can do it.
Yeah, you don't want to.
You don't want to, but you can do it. I also have a dedicated somewhere at home and have a dedicated keyboard, dedicated screen and keyboard and mouse for the, one of those cheap buy this combo and then connect it to your computer, your mobile phone, and then it becomes a desktop for you. I got one of those.
Like no.
It's no. It's not it. My point is that we are going to see ARM on the desktop.
Yes. I can't wait for it to happen, actually.
And I would like to see it as quickly as possible.
Agreed.
Because I want to see... I'm not into liking ARM or wanting ARM as an architecture. I want to see all the applications recompiled. Mm-hmm. Because what has happened in the last 30 years or so is that since not a lot of things changed, the companies got first greedy and then completely complacent, and they didn't make any effort into trying to innovate in the software because they don't need to. Mm-hmm. They can just recompile the old version and the new version of the compiler, and that's it. Now with the ARM, they're going to have to take a look into the code base, and then hopefully things will change. Because they're going to be switching over from using 1, 2, 3, or 4 cores to using 128 cores. And this is going to create a core change in the way the architecture is designed. So hopefully the applications are going to get better.
But the ARM CPUs that you're going to get for the desktops are still going to be, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cores, no more than that. 128 is for server applications and for HPCs and whatnot, so that's not going to be the desktop component. I don't think so, at least. I mean, look at the price for starters.
Right now, yes. But right now, I think that nobody is trying to push for the core count because they don't have any need for the cores.
No, but that was exactly the reason why I used the OS2 metaphor. I could have used another one, which would be even stupider. Because if you can envision a situation in which Intel has the Meteor Lake version 2 something which is style-based and starts, let's say, producing ARM CPUs, which they can. They already have, I think, a licensing agreement with ARM. AMD produces some, NVIDIA produces some, you have Qualcomm, and you have a couple of others. You might end up in the same situation that we had when you were mentioning Transmeta, Cyrix, IBM, and Intel and whatnot. That's exactly why I used the metaphor of OS2. And that didn't really work well first time around, 40 years ago. And I don't think it's going to work now as well, especially having in mind the semi-viable fact that compiling drivers for creating drivers for all of those systems is going to be very complex.
Do you remember how much time it took to switch from Windows 32 to Windows 64?
The first edition was Windows 64 XP,
yes.
Which nobody used. I installed it once, it worked, shut it down. I started using it with Vista, which was right the next version after that. And the first version that actually worked with it was basically Windows 7, so 2 generations.
Yes, and the reason was mainly drivers. Because and the simplest explanation for this, because I looked it up, was that the drivers were unable to address the memory correctly. Because they weren't used to using the memory in the way it was used in the 64-bit systems. So they just had problems with memory allocation. And this took, 5 years to solve?
Something like that, yes.
So I think this is going to be the biggest problem. Because you have now the legacy hardware that is on the market right now, or to be more precise, in the homes right now, the number of devices is much, much, much bigger. On the other hand, you don't have that many different devices.
I would actually go in the completely opposite direction. This offers Microsoft and others a chance to say that they're going to start from scratch with hardware support for Windows on ARM, not support all devices at all.
Oh, so I see that this is what made Windows 11 amazing. When they introduced the Windows 11 and said we are not going to support all their CPUs, and they had a viable reason why to not do it.
Okay.
Okay, a job scheduler, but they had a viable reason to try to explain this. Nobody bought it.
Yeah, and the TPM chip as well.
TPM chip was secondary. Yeah. The idea was, because almost all the processors sold back then had the TPMs inside. But the idea was to be able to talk to the multiple different cores in the processor and to reallocate them. But the thing is that nobody bought that idea. So Microsoft saying that they are going to release a new version of Windows that's going to be incompatible with everything else, they might as well call it Windows Tombstone and then just getting done with.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And buried themselves down. You think? I don't think so. I really do not think so. I think that they could do that.
What I think that they're going to do is sometimes down the line they're going to split the operating system line.
Okay.
I think that we are going to see them moving away from Windows.
You mean x86?
No. From Windows as such.
Okay. To what?
I don't know. Cortana OS.
Are we talking
Fuchsia OS? Like
are we talking about the concept, or are we talking about the product name?
Product name.
Okay.
But I think that they are going to be moving away from the product because they're using this product name for the last 40 years.
Serve them well.
But they are experimenting with everything else. You know how the Office is named right now.
Yeah, to the detriment of Office.
What is the current name of the office?
So I don't know. There are two parallel ones, 216, 219, whatnot, and then there's the 365 versions.
Is it Azure Office? Is it the
Yeah,
Office
yeah,
365?
yeah. I
Is
know.
it just
Microsoft 365.
Microsoft 365? So we
Yeah,
don't
I know.
even know the name
Confusion.
of the thing that we are using.
Yeah,
They don't know the name of the product that they're selling.
yeah.
And so I see that they're going to try to do something like what Google did with Project Fuchsia, because they need to separate the thing. So is it going to be the ARM? Maybe.
It's a huge opportunity for them to change some stuff.
Also, I saw an ominous sentence when Intel was introducing their new AI course, and Microsoft said that they're going to be supporting AI course from the start. They the ominous sentence was that they said that in one of the articles that I read, they said that the number of AI cores available for the in the user space is going to be much bigger than the number of AI cores available in the data centers. So there was a possibility that they're going to lend out the cores from the users.
Are we going to do set it home in reverse order or something?
Yes,
That's going to be freaking awesome.
but I see this being as a reverse Bitcoin thingy.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to be paying for your Microsoft subscription by using your computer and your power to power something from Microsoft. Yes.
Just reusing the same old ideas that we already went through.
I'm right now honestly waiting for somebody to launch a NetPC.
Exactly what I was discussing with you yesterday when we were recording the episode.
Yes.
Like hybrid cloud laptop, basically remote VDI, stupid thin client, something with thin client PC.
Chrome OS.
Chrome OS, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly that.
But I'm expecting something even more stupid than that.
Okay, please explain for the class.
So I'm expecting something that is going to have no memory, no actual capability of storing anything locally.
Okay,
And
everything is subscription based.
everything is subscription based, and everything is connected directly to the cloud. So you are only going to have some sort of GDI capability, not VDI, GDI.
Okay.
So that you can just display objects on the screen, and that's it.
We already had that. It's called XMDCP.
Or we call it Windows X server, and
Yeah, that's it. The remote X,
yes, and time is due to have one of the technologies reappear.
Sometimes your insanity is,
But it is going to happen.
Yeah, I know. That's actually quite a viable thought and a use case.
It's not only that. When you
Okay.
take into account, for example, take a bank, for example.
Okay.
You have a I don't know, a bank that has 20,000 workplaces.
Okay.
They have 20,000 users using the monitor, a computer, and so on.
Okay.
If they are able to integrate the terminal inside the monitor,
Okay.
they are going to be saving probably around, let's say, 50 to 100 watts per user.
Okay.
So multiply this by 20,000. This is the immediate
Cost reduction.
Cost
in a sense.
reduction.
Okay.
This is the one thing. Then the other thing is that security is much easier when your computers are central based. So we are going to back to mainframes.
We are going to go back to 1980s and to mainframes. Yeah.
Yes,
I love that.
and this is going to happen also.
You think?
Somebody is going to try it.
Sure.
Because
Why not?
VMware screwed things up, so I see that all the other guys are happily waiting in line to.
I don't know if there's, in terms of VDI, if they're screwing it up or not. It's difficult to say because, again, crystal ball. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm way too, I'm not informed enough to form an opinion right now. I might in a couple of months when I see what's going to happen. But yeah, I'm getting where. I understand we're getting to this, and it's entirely possible that's going to happen. I know what they said, that they're going to separate the business unit and then sell it off, but let's see what happens there.
Yes,
So
but
basically we are going back to the 1980s, terminals connected via the metaphor for a serial port to a mainframe computer, and then XMDCP in the next generation. I love that.
Yes, but the thing is that there are companies like Nutanix that
Yeah, they're happily
already
stepping in. Yeah, I know.
already trying to get people over. And from what I heard in the last couple of weeks,
They are very successful in
they're
it.
very
Yeah, I know.
successful. Uh,
I've heard stories about people reverting back to Hyper-V as well, and I also found a couple of stories a couple of weeks ago about people moving back to KVM, which is completely, off the rails in my head at least. But I understand why people are doing it, and so do you.
is it possible that OpenStack is going to be a viable solution? Right
Yeah,
now?
exactly where I'm going with this.
Oh God, what's next then?
Why not? Works very well.
Not in this particular usage case, but yes.
I mean, KVM works. We didn't write a book about it for nothing.
It works for a particular set of circumstances and particular set of loads, but on the other hand, when you are dealing with virtualization that we are talking about right now, probably KVM also makes sense.
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense in the what VMware did the best is that they created a virtualization environment that is able to run all the workloads.
Mhm.
KVM is not
Easily.
easily.
That's the key word.
But it's able to run all the workloads.
Yeah.
KVM isn't even able to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you jump through hoops, play with the kernel settings,
XML files.
XML files, and so on, some things are not going to work on KVM. But unfortunately, if you remove the VMware out of the equation, then the next best thing becomes either the cheapest one or the one that works.
Mhm.
And KVM is the cheapest one, and it works in most of the cases. So
Yeah, Nutanix works in almost all of the use cases.
yes, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah, I know, but they haven't changed their pricing structure.
Yes, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And once you say, okay, I'm going to move away from VMware, you can say, okay, but can I just get away with KVM and just not lose money? Because as we know, IT is always
Excel IT managers.
Excel IT managers. It's not a profit center; it's a cost center. So it costs money. It doesn't do anything, and it doesn't make money.
Sarcastic.
From the company. But it's not sarcastic.
Yeah.
Whenever you ask anybody from the finance, the IT is never making money. They're just having their own budgets. They're wasting money on new hardware, and they're
software as well.
and they always want to buy new stuff without giving anything back to the company.
Sure.
And this is it.
Not from our perspective, but from the perspective of finance, yes.
But from our perspective, I'm not
Nope.
giving nothing away to the company. I'm just making it work. I don't want to give anything back to the company. What am I to give it back? I just want to make it run.
Yeah, that's what you give back to the company, exactly.
So I'm more or less to have the same function as a roof on the company. You don't have to have it.
Yeah, but it's good to have it.
Yes, but
still.
sometimes it makes sense.
No, most of the times, yeah.
Okay, so let's get this thing wrapped up. Please do the wrap up.
Now, before that, are we sure that the Windows ARM thing is going to happen in 2024?
Yes.
Are you going to buy into that?
Depending on the architecture.
Meaning?
Basically, in order for me to get something that's going to be more or less experimental technology, it needs to be priced certainly. So I need a certain price level. It's probably somewhere around 600 to 700 euros to be willing to invest that amount of money into something that is going to make sense just for trying it.
If you're talking about tinkering, why not RISC-V?
I think it's more probable that we're going to see Qualcomm-based ARM processors. So RISC-V, no, because Qualcomm already has the processors.
I know.
I think that right now the decision on when to launch Windows on Qualcomm on the desktop is something that Microsoft is just keeping to itself. But they are able to execute.
Finalizing details for, you mean?
I think that the details have been finalized.
Okay.
I think that they just need to send the blueprints to the laptop manufacturers and say, okay, we need this. And Qualcomm already has those. So I think that this has been done. It's just a matter of when Everybody is trying to go on the market.
Okay, but we're still expecting hardware problems and driver problems and software problems and whatnot.
Yes and no,
Okay.
because depending on which part of the market you're aiming for. If you are aiming for the lowest end of the market, the low-end laptops that are going to be more or less upgraded Android tablets, that are going to be strictly Qualcomm-based, you don't have that many drivers to deal with,
Okay.
because you're not going to get many extensions.
And additional question to that: do you think that that's going to completely make null and void the idea of expandability? Because that might happen as well on desktop.
Yes.
So no more slots, no more nothing.
I think you're going to have one slot for the computer.
That's it.
So your case is going to be a power supply, graphics card, and then a slot for the motherboard. That's it.
Okay, let's see if that happens. Okay, well, we've done an hour, so I think it's about time that you head home.
I think we need to wrap this thing up, because it's the New Year's is near. So the last minute buying of impulse buying and Christmas gifts is coming.
So you're going to IKEA.
No, I need an NVMe drive and some other stuff.
Then you're buying that to yourself, obviously.
Yes,
of course. Of course.
I need to give this great guy a gift. So
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for everything that we have seen and done from you in the last year, and let's hope this is going to be one even better.
Yeah. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye.